Your services are no longer needed, my boss said, while his nephew moved into my corner office. I packed my things and wished them well. 4 weeks later, the system I'd built started failing, and when they called begging for help, I reminded them of the non-compete clause I never actually signed. I spent 11 years building a struggling startup into a $40 million operation. I coded the entire back-end infrastructure myself, a custom system so specialized that only 3 people in the world understood it. Me, my documentation, and nobody else because there wasn't anybody else. My boss Richard praised me constantly. You're irreplaceable, Marcus. This company is built on your back. Then his nephew Tyler graduated from a coding boot camp. Tyler showed up to meetings in hoodies, called senior developers bro, and couldn't explain what an API was. But he had Richard's sister's smile and Richard's desperation to prove family loyalty. At the quarterly meeting, Richard stood up grinning. We're restructuring leadership to bring in fresh perspectives. Tyler will be taking over as chief technology officer. My jaw hit the floor. Tyler's been coding for 4 months. He doesn't even know our systems. That's why you'll train him, Richard said smoothly. Effective immediately. The room went silent. Train him for what exactly? I asked. Your role, Richard replied. Tyler's going to lead technology strategy going forward. And me? Transition period, then we'll evaluate. I knew what that meant. 3 weeks of watching Tyler fumble through my code, then I'd be gone. I started documenting everything that week. Not for Tyler, for me. Every system quirk, every workaround, every custom solution I'd built. Then came the Friday meeting. Richard called me into his office. Tyler was already sitting in my chair, my nameplate replaced with his. Your services are no longer needed, Richard said flatly. We appreciate your contributions, but it's time for new blood. We're offering 2 weeks severance. I built this place from nothing. 2 weeks? That's our final offer, Richard said. Tyler's been shadowing you. He's got this covered. I looked at Tyler, who couldn't meet my eyes. He'd spent 3 weeks asking me what buttons did what. I stood slowly and said, I'll be out by end of day. Richard looked surprised, like he expected me to beg. I packed my desk, my code documentation, my proprietary notes. As I walked out, Tyler called after me nervously. Hey, if I have questions, can I call you? I just smiled and said, good luck, man. You're going to need it. 4 weeks later, my phone started ringing at 2 a.m. Richard's number. I let it go to voicemail. Marcus, we've got a critical system failure. The payment processing is down. We need you back immediately. Name your price. I deleted it. By morning, there were 17 missed calls and a dozen texts. The company was hemorrhaging money. Every hour the system was down cost them $50,000. By day 3, Richard showed up at my apartment, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. Whatever you want, we'll pay it. Just fix this. You said Tyler had it covered. Tyler doesn't understand your system. Nobody does. That's why you should have thought twice before replacing me. Richard's face hardened. We'll sue you. There's a non-compete clause in your contract. You can't work in this industry for 2 years. Go ahead, I said. Sue me. His eyes narrowed. We have lawyers. Our contract says you signed a non-compete. I pulled out my employment file, found my contract, and showed him the signature page. Your lawyers sent me a non-compete agreement as a separate addendum 3 years ago. I never signed it. I sent it back with questions about the terms. Nobody ever followed up. Richard grabbed the paper, his hands shaking. This can't be right. Check with your legal team. I waited. His face went pale as he scrolled through his phone. Meanwhile, I'd already accepted a position with your biggest competitor. I started Monday. They paid me $340,000 plus equity, double what you were paying me. Richard looked up, his eyes wide. You're working for Stratton? I smiled. Building them a better system than I built for you. Richard tried threatening, then begging. He offered $500,000 to come back. I told him I wasn't interested. 6 weeks later, the company filed for bankruptcy. Tyler couldn't fix what he'd broken, and no outside consultant could decode my custom system in time. I saw Richard at an industry conference last month. He looked hollowed out, 10 years older. He didn't approach me, just stared from across the room. Some replacements can't be replaced.